Saturday Night Live on NBC, 8 Eastern Time, Texas Motor Speedway for the Genesis 300. IndyCar is back. And I love talking to this guy, but we're also talking about Michigan losing to Colorado on a Hail Mary in 1994, and that's the worst sporting event that I can recall, and it was on last night on ESPN, and suddenly I don't want to talk to you, Graham Rahal. Suddenly I don't want to go through with this booking. How are you, Graham? What's up, buddy?
I'm good, Rich. How you doing, man?
Are you fired up or what?
I am. It's nice to be back, you know. It's kind of been a weird for everybody.
I bet.
It's been a weird last few months, and for sports in general, it's I mean, when the Rudy Gobert thing went down, it was literally the day before our season was supposed to start.
Right.
And we went from being in St. Pete, in the hotel, going racing tomorrow, to canceled race, you know, nothing for 3 months. I mean, had this happened, you know, and 3 or 4 days later, we would have had our first race under our belt. Instead, you know, here we are, and we're getting ready to go. Saturday night, prime time on NBC. It's a huge opportunity for our sport, be on prime time. Obviously, we're sad not to have fans in the stands,
right.
But, you know, it's good to get some sports back, and racing seems to have been spearheading that right now. And I'm excited to get going.
And you're one of 6 former winners in the field, and it's going to be all exciting on that front. And but are you in? You're in the state of Texas right now. You're calling in from right now, correct?
I am not. I am in Indianapolis right now.
Okay.
They're trying. You know, it's a one-day show, so literally we show up tomorrow morning. None of us have tested. Nobody's driven these cars in 4 months.
Jeez.
You're going to show up tomorrow morning. You're going to practice for an hour. You're going to do 2 laps of qualifying, and you're going to go race on prime time at NBC. So, you know, and this isn't just some normal race. I mean, Texas is the most intense race of our calendar each and every year. So to throw us out, it's like throwing you to the wolves. I mean, throw us out there. In this one in particular is going to be pretty intense. It's also the first time that IndyCar's will have an Aeroscreen. So basically like, you know, looking like a fighter jet on the ground, a little bubble that goes over your head that's going to keep us protected. So again, that even hasn't been proven out, right? I mean, it's never been in a race yet. So yeah, again, going to the most intense place of the year, it's going to be pretty interesting. But you know, we're excited to get back going, and I think give people, whether you're listening to this show, you're a sports fan, period. But
right.
You know, whether you watch IndyCar racing or not, it's a great opportunity for you to tune in and see some live sports on Saturday night.
What about health protocol and all that stuff? Walk me through it, Graham. What do you got for me?
We all get. Yeah, so everybody has to show up a certain amount of hours before first practice.
Yep.
Typically, you know, we would show up about an hour before first practice as a driver. In this case, we have to show up a minimum of 3 hours early. With that, you go through a health screening. You do what I assume is a swab test, obviously temperature test. Each team gets charter bussed in on separate buses. Each team has been monitoring each other while we've been working at the race shops in limited shift. So we're pretty aware of those guys' current health situations, and haven't had anybody that's shown to be positive whatsoever. So, you know, it's kind of an interesting period of time. It's certainly going to be slower to get us into the track, get all the teams into the track. But they're taking their precautions. You know, like I said, everybody's going to be tested tomorrow. And unfortunately, if you pop up positive, whether you're a driver, whether you're anybody, you're not going in. Now, they have limited us, so we're only allowed 20 crew members per entry. You think that sounds like a lot? It's not. You know, typically we can have 50, 60 people go to support our race team on a weekend.
Right.
In this case, fairly limited. Limited enough that a lot of people's spouses aren't going. A lot of the PR staffs aren't going. Just the needed people to run the cars.
What about Letterman?
Letterman is not, but he did call me this week.
And?
He told me, all he said, he said, Graham, I heard you're going on Rich's show. Make sure you tell Rich how much I like him.
Yeah.
And go Bucks. That's what he told me to tell you.
That's odd. That's so odd that would be his message, Graham.
No, he's doing good. He's just, I think pretty locked up right now. I know he's excited to be watching.
Sure.
Like I said, tomorrow night, Saturday night.
It's going to be great.
You know, Kind of a strange time for all of us,
I'm
right? Including
sure.
David Letterman.
I know. So what do you think? Graham Rahal here on the Rich Eisen Show. Again, 8 Eastern time, live racing, IndyCar Series returns, and then, of all the locations, Texas Motor Speedway up 200 miles an hour. I mean, this is a serious track, serious situation, and an exciting return here, and it'll be on NBC at 8 Eastern time and prime time. What about out on the track? Do you think there'll be more caution as you're driving? I mean, it takes some time maybe to get a feel of things, and then it'll just be like normal. What are you expecting, Graham?
Well, so it's interesting because the race has been shortened from the normal 248 laps to being 200. So I think that's going to breed a little bit more anxiety into the guys to be, hey, if I start 10th, I need to make my way to the front sooner than 248 laps. A lot of time for things to come and happen. Plus, 248 laps, typically the sun's down, right, by the end of that race. And in this case, it's 8 Eastern. That's 7 local time. I don't know that we're actually ever going to race completely in darkness. And why that affects us is because when the sun goes down, all of a sudden the track gets a lot more grip. You can drive a little bit more aggressively, so on. But the other side of this is I hope that everybody uses their head, because Texas is also probably the most dangerous track we go to all year. And so, throwing everybody out there together, intense already, adding in a couple of rookies that have never even done an oval race, intense. There's a lot of question marks that come into play here, but I certainly think people understand the danger of it. People understand that we're going to a place that has certainly, it's hurt some guys before. And so I think that everybody understands you got to have a little more caution. In particular, like I said, with this Aeroscreen, we've never raced it. It's never been driven into the evening through sundown. As the sun starts to go down, the glare that puts typically is always a problem. Well, we don't know what it's going to do with the Aeroscreen yet. So there's a lot of questions, that we're going to find out tomorrow night live on TV as everybody's watching, which may not be the most ideal way to do this. But that is what we're going to do, and it'll be fun.
Will you explain to people what that screen is, and who may not know, Graham?
So it's a pretty cool new piece of technology. If you look at IndyCar's when my dad drove back in the 80s, 90s, the cars today are far safer than they were at that time. Having said that, this is probably the largest improvement in safety since I've been around, which is, we use literally F-16, F-18 fighter jet canopy reshaped. So this is a ballistic piece of it's a composite glass, basically, that can take this is an important piece of information, Rich. It can take like a 20-pound frozen turkey at 250 miles an hour. And that's really, really important. So like you're going to be facing frozen turkeys every day, but that is actually the test that they utilize in the fighter jets as well. And so this is a piece that is now in front of the driver's head. It wraps around, mounts to where the roll bar is. This piece would have, honestly, we lost a driver in 2015, Justin Wilson, a very important guy in my life. We lost him at Pocono. I think had we had this piece, Justin Wilson would still be with us. So this is a huge improvement to the head and neck and brain safety for drivers. It's the first open wheel car in the world to have this sort of cockpit, and so it's meaning IndyCar, Formula One, we're the first to be able to do it to this sort of level. And so we're excited about that. PPG actually makes the glass, same company that makes the glass for the fighter jets. So it's a pretty advanced piece. We've had to work on the shape for the glare, because clearly in an IndyCar, when you're turning a lot, fighter jets aren't necessarily turning on banking like we are. And so it's important that we get all the distortion out of it and stuff. But it's been really good. It's been huge, groundbreaking changes and developments in the safety of open wheel cars, and we're looking forward to giving it a shot.
Me too, Graham. Before I let you go, the conversation that we've been having today is based on the fact that last night ESPN had the audacity to re-air the Colorado-Michigan 1994 contest at the Big House, and I had to relive it, and we're just talking about what people's worst sports losses of their fandom was, and yours has to be, if I'm not mistaken, the 2002 BCS National Championship game where you lost to Miami. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You got bailed out by an outrageous flag at the end there, allowing you to score a game tire and eventually win a tainted championship for Tressel. I mean, so I'm wondering if that's the one, Graham.
I think for me,
yeah,
it has to be the Purdue game just a couple years ago. Because
come on, Graham, come on now.
It was terrible. It was so cold. We were supposed to dominate, and we got crushed.
But that's a regular season. That's a regular season game. It was. By the way, just for your own knowledge, out of respect to you, I do have the Ohio State sort of semi-racing helmet that you brought here on the show that has been signed by many Ohio State football players and graduates who are proud to sign this helmet for the show. You cannot say a regular season game at Purdue where you got blown out when you were expecting to win. Come on, that can't be the worst.
We're not used to losing.
Oh, stop.
No.
I know Michigan is, but look, okay, so I even texted you. I was texting you during this game.
Yes.
The Clemson game last year still stings. I mean, first half just dominance. Then you get a couple questionable calls. Sean Wade, obviously. Then you got the fumble. That still stings. I mean, I don't think we're gonna go beat LSU, but I mean, Ohio State had a great chance. So all I'm hoping is that we get back out there, we get some college football because once racing comes to an end. I mean, you know me. I blow you up on every Saturday.
Yeah. By the way, right now, I'm reading the text exchange. I just called it up on my phone. You text me. You agree with targeting. How do you call targeting when the player ducks into it? I wrote back.
Good point.
I wrote back. It looked like football. In the replay, your guy lowered his head. That's 15 yards in the NFL. Get your head to either side of Lawrence's body and square up. Oh, and Chase Young necktied him. You wrote back something I can't repeat. It's BS, right. And the refs know it. Ejecting Wade really hurts OSU. And then I tweeted back I retweeted back the Seinfeld popcorn eating gif. That's a shame. So that was our exchange.
Yeah, I figured that'd be the response. But was I not right? You get rid of Sean Wade, and all of a sudden that became without his speed in the middle, you got a whole different ball game.
Yeah, you wrote back, LOL, man, you need to be a pro Big Ten guy here. I wrote back, need is such a strong word, Graham. That's our relationship right there. So you can't even peg one, huh? Come on now. Come on. You were growing up and Ohio State wasn't winning squat. That's when John Cooper was there. So wasn't there one that was it's not the only sport either. No,
it's true. I mean, honestly though, for me, at that time,
can't think of one.
It's I don't even remember.
My dad's a champion racer.
In the early 90s.
David Letterman is a guy who is helping my whole career. It's very difficult for you to peg it, but I understand, Graham. Life's tough. What do you got? Something?
I'm telling you, the Clemson loss still stings.
Okay.
It still stings. And you're getting me fired up. I'm going to go out there and be on a tear tomorrow night just because you're getting me angry about this damn loss.
You thank me when you're standing next to the trophy. You thank me. Please.
All right.
I will.
Graham, real quick.
The juice is flowing here.
Graham, real quick. As an Ohio State fan, start, bench, cut. Which of these Michigan losses makes you happiest? The Westbrook Hail Mary, Cordell Stewart Hail Mary, the loss to Appalachian State, or the walk-off punt fumble snap to Michigan State?
So start the one that makes you happiest.
I think App State is definitely a pretty good story. Although Cordell Stewart, he goes on to play for Pittsburgh, right, and becomes a huge customer of our car dealership. So I got to tell you, I'm a Cordell Stewart fan. He treated the Rahal family well, so I'll take that.
All right, very good.
Hey, anytime Michigan loses, it takes me everything I can not to text Rich, and
It's my pleasure.
But
Graham, it's my pleasure.
I need Rich's clarity sometimes, so I got to be nice.
It is my pleasure to say we're out of time. Graham, I look forward to seeing you race. Good luck, and do thank me when you win tomorrow because I got the juices flowing, okay? Be safe.
I will, Rich. Thanks for having me.
You're the best. That's Graham Rahal. Check out, again, the IndyCar Series return tomorrow night on NBC, Saturday, 8 Eastern Time. Who cares what Graham Rahal thinks? Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.